Tombstone on 4K, Kingdom of Heaven on 4K. I wonder what else we could see from the Fox library on the format. About 4 years ago, I did a top 10 Fox movies that I would love to see get a 4K release. Since that time, a couple of those on the list have actually manifested. One of my all-time favorite movies, The Abyss, naturally arrived on 4K last year, as well as True Lies. And Fight Club was also in that particular video, which they are currently working on. So I thought with the recent announcement of Tombstone coming to 4K, as well as Kingdom of Heaven, maybe it's time to sort of revisit this topic. Do I think that the studio, meaning Disney slash Sony, is really starting to embrace 4K now with their catalog stuff? It's still early to tell in that front, but I believe they're more amenable to this overall thing than they were even a year ago. I don't know. I think I would love to see all the Fox classics come to 4K, and maybe one by one they're going to start trickling out. We don't really know. I think the next several months are going to be very telling. Is it going to be a thing where we get these releases and then nothing until December or something? Who knows? But I think it's a fun topic to talk about Fox movies that could potentially arrive on 4K. And before we begin, this is going to be my list. Yours will be very different, but as always, I encourage you to put it in the comments section. What movies from the Fox catalog, going back as far as you can think of to even more recent entries, would you love to see get a physical 4K release? Now, the titles I'm going to talk about are not in any particular order. These are just 10 random ones that I would, a little bit from the old list, but these are also some new ones that I am potentially excited to see arrive on 4K, hopefully sooner rather than later. Lately, I've been revisiting a lot of John Wayne movies, so my first entry on this list, I'm going to give to a classic war film, and one that I feel doesn't get talked about nearly enough, The Longest Day. I really enjoy this film. It's classic cinema. It's got an excellent setting, and I would just love to see this given a proper 4K release. The initial Blu-ray is fine. It's nothing special, but I think a nice restoration wouldn't hurt to upgrade the audio if possible. Nothing too fancy, but we can always dream in that area. But I do think that the movie needs some newfound visibility, and 4K collectors, I think, would eat this one up. So yes, The Longest Day on 4K from the Fox catalog. I would love to see get a physical 4K release. This next one was on my previous video, but I think it definitely still deserves to be on this kind of list. Moulin Rouge. I'm a fan of musicals. I think they really add some great gravitas, usually from a visual perspective as well as audio. I think both are equally served well when it comes to a well-done musical. Moulin Rouge, I think, would really benefit from an HDR Dolby Vision grading. If you haven't heard, Disney slash Sony seems to be doing Dolby Vision now on their discs. This would, I think it would look absolutely stunning. No, I mean, it's such a visually crazy looking picture. I would love to see it at full 4K. An audio upgrade would also be welcome. I would love to see Atmos. Once again, there's a lot of craziness happening on screen. The musical cues would sound excellent with the additional speaker real estate. Plus, there's a lot of in-film antics that would benefit from the height speakers. Who knows if this is even on their list, but Moulin Rouge on 4K would be an absolute must-own in my opinion. I love me some classic Westerns, and there aren't nearly enough of them that have come to the 4K format. Just as a side note, I would love to see a lot of the Anthony Mann, James Stewart collaborations get the 4K treatment. I know Criterion did Winchester 73 recently, but I would love to see all those. But sticking with this particular topic, I think Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid would be absolutely amazing. If I'm not mistaken, it's already 4K digitally. I don't know if it's got all the bells and whistles with HDR and Dolby Vision on that particular version, but give it the full restoration treatment if it hasn't had it already, and put this one out on disc. I think there would be plenty of collectors, just of all ages, that would really love to get a physical 4K of this one. It has been a number of years since I watched it, so I want to visit it again with a fresh set of eyes and a fresh transfer. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, but I would love to see it come to 4K. I've always said anything Tim Burton coming to the 4K format would be most welcome. I think there are rumors that the original Pee-wee's Big Adventure is coming to 4K sometime. I know Big Top Pee-wee is getting a 4K internationally, but for this particular video, I would love to see Edward Scissorhands arrive. Once again, I think this is another one that is quote unquote 4K digitally, without all the HDR and Dolby Vision inclusion. But I would love to see this get a full restoration, beautiful grade. I think a lot of people would eat this one up, and myself included. I love the film. The old Blu-ray is okay. I think it could use some improvements. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, I love the film. I think revisiting it again on 4K with the full HDR Dolby Vision grading, I think a lot of people would love it. I am championing this one. I think it would be great. I know it would sell well. So hopefully one day we'll see Edward Scissorhands on 4K from Fox. When it comes to prolific directors and their work, I want all of their movies on physical 4K. I think we're lucky today to have pretty much every Christopher Nolan movie on 4K, except for one or two. Denis Villeneuve is another one that we get a lot of his movies on 4K. But Steven Spielberg, for some reason, a lot of his films have yet to make the jump to the format. And I think there's some weird decision making going on there, whether it's just lack of interest from Spielberg or whatever the reason. But I would love to see Lincoln, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, get the 4K treatment. The Blu-ray also it's okay, but I think it could be so much more. Give us that full 4K resolution. Give us the grading. The audio, I think, is fine. I think it's fine. If you want to throw in an Atmos, I wouldn't say no. But I want more Spielberg films on 4K. I know Fox has more than one. So for me personally, I would love to see Lincoln get the treatment. Maybe one day, who knows? But yeah, Spielberg, just as a side note, put out more of your movies on 4K. Your fans are waiting. Going back to classic cinema for a moment, I think that the fact that these are not on physical 4K is borderline criminal at this point. But the original 1968 Planet of the Apes, and let's say the subsequent sequels, definitely deserve a place on physical 4K. I believe also that some of these are 4K digitally. Somebody can check on that one. But for physical collectors, the fact that these are not on my shelf right now is just, I don't know what's going on. I think this just speaks to the volumes of issues with, Disney in recent years not releasing a lot of their Fox catalog stuff. Hopefully, the point of this video is that it is changing. Tombstone, Kingdom of Heaven, I think those are good indicators that they are listening to the fans and wanting to put out physical 4K releases of their catalog stuff. That's just, in my opinion, you're mining gold going back to the catalog. But going back to Planet of the Apes, I think these are classic sci-fi films. Full restorations down the board. I would love to see them. So who knows? Put out a box set. I know everybody would pick this up in a second if it was available as a box set. I don't know. We'll see. The future's funny. But Planet of the Apes on 4K and its sequels definitely needs to happen. Now, I know for a fact that these are digitally available on 4K with HDR grades, but the Die Hard sequels, come on. We have the original. That's been out for a number of years. Where's Die Hard 2? Where's Die Hard with a Vengeance? Where are the other sequels after that? I think this one is screaming also for a box set. Just like Planet of the Apes, a box set of all the Die Hard movies would be a very welcome, and I think a lot of people would buy this, all the collection. I think, we all have our favorite Die Hard films. Obviously, it's Die Hard 1. But the sequels also have a warm place in our hearts. I always liked Die Hard 2, for even if it's all of its shortcomings. Die Hard with a Vengeance, I love it. The other sequels after that, I could give or take. But yeah, Die Hard, all the movies on 4K in a box set, I would love to see it. A lot of fans would agree. So maybe this is going to be on the short list. We'll have to wait and see on this one. I was beyond thrilled when Kingdom of Heaven on 4K was announced. But look, I would have taken just the 4K restoration and everything. But what really, I think, went the extra mile was the inclusion of a brand new Dolby Atmos. And my next pick absolutely 100% needs an Atmos upgrade. Castaway. I love this movie. It's one of my favorites when it comes to Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks collaborations. I love this film. It is excellent. But it goes without saying, give it a restoration, give it a nice HDR grade. No questions asked in there. But please, if you're going to put this one out on physical 4K, give it an Atmos upgrade. It is begging for it. The existing 5.1 is really good. I'm not going to take away from that. In fact, I would even insist we include that on the original track on there. But give Atmos fans a reason to really get excited about this. Love the movie. I go back to this one at least once a year or so. In fact, I'm due for a revisit pretty soon. But yeah, a physical 4K of Castaway, I would love to see it happen. I'm very hopeful it is on the short list. My next pick, I believe it's a little bit confusing when it comes to rights. I'm pretty sure it's still under 20th Century Fox. I think it initially was with Warner Brothers and then Fox got the rights to it. But this one desperately needs a 4K upgrade. LA Confidential. One of my favorite noir type movies that were made in the quote unquote modern age. I think it would really shine on the formats. You have a really interesting look to the film. Once again, it's more of a noir style, but I think a nice HDR grade on this would really bring out the colors in a nice, realistic, and just a very appreciable way. I think it would look beautiful. Give it a restoration. No funny business with DNR or anything like that. I think it would look great on the formats. As far as an audio upgrade, it could use it, but it wouldn't be a deal breaker for me. But I would love to see it. I know I'm sort of in that camp where if it's a good enough audio track, you can kind of leave it as it is. It doesn't necessarily need an Atmos upgrade, but I wouldn't say no to it either. I think it would be great. But LA Confidential, still one of my favorite films from that decade. Love to see it get a new physical 4K release. That is, if Fox still owns the rights. So we'll see what happens. And just a couple of quick honorable mention. As I talked about earlier in the video, Fight Club, I would definitely put on this list, but it is coming. Fincher's been working on a lot of his films, making the jump to 4K. It is coming, so don't need to put it on a wish list. It will be arriving probably in the next several months. But also, rumors are circulating that The French Connection is also getting a physical 4K release. I know with the recent passing of Gene Hackman, a lot of his movies are getting a little bit more attention. So let's bring this one out, preferably uncensored. Let's make that one happen. Still no word on who. I believe it's still owned by Disney/Fox, but we'll see. I don't know. But I think this is coming to 4K. Hopefully that one will be arriving. As far as, a war movie goes, Patton. I mean, come on. Patton is a legendary film, and it needs a 4K bump. It does. It needs a little bit of work, so we'll see what happens in that area. But also, I want to throw in a comedy on here. Mrs. Doubtfire. Robin Williams, the legend, I think needs more of his films on physical 4K. But even comedies, I think, would benefit from a nice fresh coat of paint. So I think Mrs. Doubtfire, which is another 4K digital release, just throw some HDR on it, put it on physical 4K disc. I think a lot of people would enjoy that one. If I were a betting man, my final pick is already in the works. Potentially the next 4K release from Disney/Fox/Sony. Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. This one is, if I had to pick, if there was a number one, this would be my number one. But I am such a huge fan of this film. And the Blu-ray is really impressive, at least from an audio standpoint. The audio on this one is top tier. But imagine what an Atmos upgrade would do for this title. Once again, going back to Kingdom of Heaven, we're getting Atmos for that one. I don't see why this would also not be given an upgrade. I just think this is coming. I can feel it in my bones. This is happening, folks. But as of right now, it's still a wish list item. I know if you follow Bill Hunt over at the Digital Bits, he has mentioned this one as going to the list that he created to send to somebody over at Fox about potential 4K releases, but I think a lot of people would be head over heels for a 4K release of this film. So I really believe it's coming soon. But yes, Master and Commander on 4K is an absolute must upgrade to the format. So those are some Fox titles from their library and catalog that I would love to see get 4K releases. I'm hopeful that we are going to see a lot more from that library in the next year or so. As I said before, we're going to wait and see. Is it going to be now the floodgates are open? Is it a slow trickle, or is it just a stopgap and then we'll pick it up again in December or November? Who knows? But it's just fun to talk about it, and that's where I leave it to you. What movies from the Fox library are you hoping to see get physical 4K releases? Sound off down below. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.